Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042, and even Overwatch 2, also known as the sequel that isn't really a sequel, but has a 2 after the name, meaning it is a sequel according to Blizzard. These are all games that in the recent year or so have fallen victim to the ever-growing and seemingly failing live service model within the modern gaming landscape, which is now seemingly killing modern day releases before they even have the chance to show their promise and potential promised by the developers before their release. AAA developers have adopted the mindset of releasing games as soon as possible and fixing the game on day one with a patch that fixes the bad bugs and fixing other minor bugs still disturbing gameplay around 1 to 2 months later, meaning the game is really only complete around 2 to 3 months into the game's lifecycle. Although within the launch time period, the microtransactions in game item shops are 100% working and ready to take people's money with cosmetics such as skins and weapon charms, as well as having a fully functional battle pass that consumers can pay for, again promoting microtransactions within the buggy, glitchy mess of the game. And no better example of how AAA studios are failing through the live service model is the release of Halo Infinite. Obviously, in the early to mid 2000s, Halo was a revolutionary game and an untouchable, undisputed titan within the gaming landscape, with developers Bungie that didn't miss a beat developing Halo Combat Evolved to Reach. However, development studio 343 took over the Halo mantle with Halo 4 and 5, ultimately failing to achieve the successful heights their predecessors reached. However, in 2021, hope was set to be restored within the release of Halo Infinite. Sadly, this was not the case. Halo Infinite's multiplayer released in late 2021 with a community uproar as the gameplay was innovative yet incredibly boring and repetitive, with limited, if any, content to go along with the game, meaning early adopters quickly came and went. However, within this time frame, 343 were clearly pushing microtransactions through skins for both Spartans and weapons, as if the developer cared more about making a quick cash grab rather than investing in making a well-made game, which is a common trend throughout development teams nowadays. Although it wasn't all bad news. With the decline of AAA games in recent years, indie game studios have rose from the ashes of those previous titans of gaming mentioned earlier, with small development teams and more creative games being created with care for gamers' wants and needs. The popularity of indie games has risen massively in recent years, and this can be clearly seen in the growth of Fortnite, with Epic Games at launch being a small development team that made innovations in the Battle Royale genre and released updates in line with what their community asked for, leading to it peaking at a player base around 83.3 million players at one point, and becoming bigger and more popular than the old titans of gaming such as Battlefield, Halo and Call of Duty. As seemingly now, indie game development teams are both making greater and more loved games, as well as delivering on promises made to their community prior to the launch of their games, as well as making the game in a playable and fine-tuned state on launch. Overall, now there is a gap in the market in which indie games have and will continue to fill, as they continue to serve up great games that are beloved by many gamers, with developers that care for their communities and prioritise making innovative and good games, meaning that without change and adaptation, AAA studios and their games face the prospect of being left behind by the rest of the indie competition. As we as a community question, can the once true titans of gaming reclaim their thrones and revitalise what was felt when playing earlier titles, the feeling of awe, the feeling of nostalgia as we look back on the great games of old with the hope they can be born once again.